Hello, everybody. I hope you had a nice weekend and you're ready for the Monday. This is yet another series of our continuous professional development for all occupational health and safety professionals and those who are aspiring to be occupational health and safety professionals. My name is Okuni Evan Moses. And today we are going to look at a very interesting topic, and that is accident investigation. Before we continue, I would love to remind you, after every presentation, we have a quiz that we are supposed to do before we get CPD completion certificates. This CPD is given 2 CPD hours, and this should help you in your professional development. What we're going to learn today can also support those who are aspiring to register with the Board of Certified Safety Professionals in the United States of America, and then those who are aspiring to do NEBOSH courses, please take this course. There will be a link to the quiz on the depending on where you access the video link from. If it's on Facebook, it's going to be included in the Facebook post. If it's on LinkedIn, it's going to be included in the LinkedIn page, and then if it's on YouTube, it's going to be included in the YouTube page. Please follow us so that you'll be alerted whenever there is a new topic to discuss. So let's dive into the module. What is the objective of this course? This course is designed to introduce basic skills in accident investigation, root cause analysis, and statistical evaluation of accidents. Can be very complex. So this course is designed for the majority of cases that can be diagnosed rapidly and where outside assistance is not normally required. So the course objectives: 1, accident prevention; 2, introduce accident investigation and establish its role in today's industry; 3, introduce some basic skills in the recognition of control of occupational hazards; 4, provide basic accident investigation skills for supervisors; and finally, introduce accident investigation techniques. What is the basis of this module or topic of discussion? 1, statistically, an accident investigation results in prevention. 2, elimination of workplace injuries and illness where possible. 3, reduction of workplace injuries and illnesses where possible. 4, development of efficient accident investigative procedures. And then, the OSHA safety standards, which actually most of the countries have adopted and included in their occupational health and safety legislation. So the requirements are: accidents to be investigated, training be conducted, hazards and precautions be explained, a safety program be established, and then job hazards be assessed and controlled. So on this occasion, I'll realign this to the Ugandan perspective. So the legal basis: accident reporting and inspector powers is under the OSH Act of 2006. So accident investigation is actually a requirement in the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2006. This requirement is embedded in each country's OSH legislation. So I presume as part of this course, you will refer to the respective OSH legislation in your country of origin. What is an occupational accident? Occupational accident means an occurrence arising out of or in the course of work which results in the fatal occupational injury or non-fatal occupational injury. What are the key responsibilities? Employer must keep accurate safety records and general register of entries. Ensure workers report dangerous situations and fully cooperate with inspecting officers. So what are the penalties if employers do not comply with the requirements of the Uganda OSH Act of 2006? I've not stated the penalty points or imprisonments that you can have a look at it in the OSH Act. So I just put a summary. The penalties apply if false or missing accident entries are made, the act is contravened, leading to injury or death, inspector cooperation is obstructed. Why is accident investigation important? It's really good to answer that question. A good accident investigation program will help improve quality, improve absenteeism, meaning very few absenteeism will be recorded, maintain a healthier workforce, reduce injury and illness rates, acceptance of high turnover jobs, workers feel good about their work, reduce workers' compensation costs, which is really key for most organizations, elevate safety to a higher level of awareness. Now, basing on the data from ILO, you'll realize ILO, that is International Labour Organization, nearly 3 million workers die each year from work-related accidents and diseases. This must be noted by every health and safety professional. About 330,000 of these are from work accidents, fatal injuries. This is a very high number. The majority, that's 2.6 million, approximately 2.6 million, are from work-related diseases. Can be respiratory, circulatory, and then the cancers. Non-fatal work injuries from ILO database states that around 395 million workers sustain non-fatal occupational injuries annually worldwide. This is a very big number. Imagine they may be non-fatal, but they lead to sick leave or accident leave. They lead to lost production. They lead to lost morale. So this high number of accidents actually affects the overall world economy. So we're going to look at the accident investigation program implementation. What does it require? One, it requires dedication. Dedication is from all parties. Dedication from the governments, those are regulators. Dedication from the employers, and also dedication from the workers. Sometimes even the communities. where the employers are situated. Personal interest. That now is reflected in the company's health and safety culture. And then management commitment. Management commitment is really very important because management allocates resources, time, and money. And also they give authority to the responsible parties to implement the health and safety management system. Therefore, note, understanding and support from the workforce is essential. Without it, the program will fail. So the workers must also accept this. It's really important. What are the key program elements? That's the accident investigation program elements. 1, training. Employees, their supervisors, their managers, all have to be trained in accident investigation so that everyone understands their role. Then safety committee. A safety committee must be instituted. And of course, if you look at for most legislation, safety committee is one of the requirements from the health and safety legislation. And then worksite analysis. Statistical reviews. Most when it comes to accidents, you want to know how many near misses or what. All these reports have to be reviewed. Medical management. Some employers actually have well-established infirmaries. Those are company clinics. They also have well-established first aid rooms, and then well-trained first aid providers. And then prompt investigations, that there is an investigation procedure which is triggered as soon as there's a near miss or any incident. Supervisor involvement. Supervisors must pay attention and always ensure that any incident, either a near miss or a real accident, all these have to be investigated and lessons learned derived from the accident investigation reports. Hazard prevention and control. This has to be a part of the accident investigation program, because if hazards are not prevented and controlled, people will be exposed to this. There's going to be an increased number of accidents. What is worksite analysis? Looks at accident records review, and then periodic surveys, what we call inspections, job hazard analysis. Of course, from the introduction to health and safety course that we started with, a job hazard analysis looks at setting up how a certain task is done step by step, and then analyzing what may happen to the worker during each step of their execution of their tasks, of the specific task. So that's what we call a job hazard analysis. You break down the entire process into steps and simplify them, and then analyze what happens to a worker in every step. And then systematic site analysis. What is a safety committee, and why is it really important? A safety committee, of course, is a group of employees selected normally from each department that are charged with managing or steering the health and safety management system. in this instance, it is steering the accident investigation program. So what are their roles? Goal setting. They require a written program. Requires employee involvement, and then regular program activity where they can review action plans from investigated incidents and accidents, and also where they seek for top management commitment such that top management allows this committee sometime within a week or a month to sit and discuss the accident investigation reports and corrective action plans. And then also they require a periodic program review and evaluation to see if all the actions stated in the action plans have been accomplished, and if not, why they have not been accomplished, and if any resources are required. So we are looking at hazard prevention and control, PPE, engineering controls, administrative controls, optimization of work practices. So it's really important to understand what hazard prevention and control is, and this is actually a part of I think it's last week course on HIRAC. That is, for you to understand more on hazard prevention and control, refer to the previous course on hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. It's a full course, so if you do that, then you're going to understand this piece. So make sure that you visit our YouTube page to access the course. What are the considerations as part of the management's role? One, support the process. Management has to support the process. Ensure support is visible. Like, people should see that management is doing something. And then management has to get involved in training, in the job hazard analysis, and this can be shown by a written policy signed and dated by management. You know, attend the same training as your workers. Insist on periodic follow-up and program review, and then implement ways to measure effectiveness. It's really important, and this is part of an audit, because if you conduct an audit or a program review, you're going to identify the gaps, and it's now those gaps that you look at bridging, and then this will improve the effectiveness of the program. And then the supervisor's role. Treat all near misses as an accident so that they are investigated. Get involved in the investigation. That's why it is necessary for the supervisors to undergo accident investigation training, because they need to be part of the investigation team. Complete the paperwork, work orders, policy changes. It is to make corrective actions. Get your workers involved. Allow the workers participate. And part of it is allowing them to participate in different programs like Safety Week, Safety Committee, all these programs where workers are in training as well. See, such that they understand the health and safety management process of the company. Never ridicule any injury. Be professional. You could save a life today. Not other people will harass. If an employee gets an accident and you start harassing them. No, be professional, because no one wants to get hurt. So if someone has gotten hurt, then find ways of supporting them and investigate the accident, ensure it doesn't happen again to another person. Understand why the accident happened. If it's a personal factor, then the employee can be trained instead of harassing them. Then also attend the same training. When you're a leader, make sure that you participate so that workers look up to you. As an example, some people will actually attend or participate in health and safety because their supervisors are doing the same, and then follow up on the actions you took. It's really important. What are the employees' role? 1, report all accidents and near misses immediately. Every employee, if you see it, report immediately. Okay, some companies have the first aid switches. Okay, so you could actually press the first aid alarm so that the first aider is informed that there's an accident, or make a call to the emergency team on site, can be the clinic, can be the security office, so that this is handled. Contribute to make corrective actions. Be a part of it as an employee, because corrective actions can actually protect you. You know what you need to ensure that you're protected. Sometimes it is you as an employee who understands your work environment. Always provide complete and accurate information during interviews. As an employee, remember that the accident investigation team is not looking for who to implicate. They are looking for information. So provide them accurate information so that the root cause of the incident is identified and effective mitigation measures put in place. This saves you and your colleagues. Follow up with any additional information. So in case you didn't provide sufficient information and you come across any new information, please reach out to the accident investigation team and give them that information. And you would see a very safe workplace. What does the accident investigation program entail? The accident investigation program, just like all other programs, are written. You cannot operate from space. You have to put it down such that it's approved and communicated to all employees. So the written program must be developed, implemented, controlled, and periodically reviewed. So you may realize that you're now being driven to what a PDCA cycle is: plan, do, check, act. That is what is applied in all health and safety related management programs, including this accident investigation program. What should the safety committee do? As you can see, the safety committee should hold regular accident review meetings, document the meetings, encourage employee involvement, bring employee complaints, suggestions, or concerns to the attention of management. Feedback without fear of reprisal should be provided. Analyze statistical data concerning accidents and make recommendations for corrective action. When you collect accident data or incident data, this is really massive information that has to be analyzed such that accidents are grouped into major, minor, or CADs. Once you group these accidents like this, you realize that you'll come up with those ones that need to be addressed immediately, and maybe those ones that are repetitive. So by the time you develop the mitigation measures, you should have already understood, the extent of all these kind of incidents. Follow up, always follow up. It's really very important to follow up on any action that you've been given as a safety committee. Program review and evaluation. I would say this is related to an audit. So the evaluation techniques include analysis of trends in injury or illness rates, job hazard analysis assessments, employee surveys, review of results of facility evaluations, up-to-date records of job improvements tried or implemented, before and after surveys, evaluations of job or worksite changes. I would advise the health and safety professional to ensure that for every program you introduce, not only this accident investigation program, any other programs, you must really review and evaluate if the key performance indicators, what you intended to achieve, has been achieved. It's important, and this is done through audits. So we'd look at industrial hygiene controls or hazard control methods, engineering controls, workstation design, process modification, tool selection and design, mechanical assistance. So that would be the first choice. Engineering controls always are the first. For example, using machine guards. So meaning you've already cut off the exposure to a hazard. So if there's a moving part and there's a machine guard, we know that no such accident related to unavailability of machine guards can happen. For example, maybe a worker has been trapped, the arm has been trapped in the moving part, or the leg has been also trapped in the moving part. Engineering controls can also be like designing emergency switch, so that in case of an accident, someone taps it immediately. It's very close to the machine operator. Instead of you struggling to turn off the machine, just step on. It depends on how you're going to operate the emergency switch. You can be through stepping on it, or others there's a button. Yeah. Administrative controls, training programs, pacing, job rotation enlargement, policy and procedures. This is the second choice. And then the personal protective equipment. We know that you're giving them PPE and everything. PPE is good. PPE doesn't actually eliminate exposure or the likelihood. So PPE is not affected by exposure and the likelihood. So PPE only reduces the severity. For example, if someone threw a ball from up, maybe let's assume like there's an overhead crane in a warehouse. Apart from that overhead crane falls on an employee's head. The impact on the head is different. When the person is using a helmet, definitely the shock will be absorbed by the helmet. You may feel a little bit of an impact, but you'll not be seriously injured. And then for someone who's not putting on the helmet, there's nothing to reduce the shock, to absorb the shock. So your head will be hit immediately and you'll be fatally injured. So that's what you should look at when it comes to PPE. PPE help absorb the impact, but they are not stopping the accident or the likelihood of the accident happening. They only reduce the severity of the accident. So we'll go ahead with the accident causation. So there are two theories that we shall discuss here: the domino theory and then the multiple causation theory, which I think the Swiss cheese model now comes under the multiple causation theory. Swiss cheese model, or the H factors, human factors, accident classification system. Human factors and accident classification system, that is HFACS. So the domino theory. The occurrence of an injury invariably results from a completed sequence of factors, the last one of this being the injury itself. So there is the beginning and the end. So every factor is a part of a path to an accident. So the accident which caused the injury is in turn invariably caused or permitted directly by the unsafe act of a person or a mechanical or physical hazard. For example, a worker wakes up in the morning, gets into the vehicle, didn't check the tires, didn't even use their daily motor vehicle inspection checklist to see if there's anything that's wrong with the vehicle or if anyone tampered with the tires and so on. So they get in the vehicle, start the engine, not even wait for 5 minutes or so for the engine to warm up, or turn on the engine, get out and inspect, and then drive it off, and then the brakes of the car fail and an accident happens. They ram on the this sequence: wake up, turn on the engine, drive the vehicle, step on the brakes, brakes fail, boom, ram yourself on the wall or a tree. That's the domino theory. The unsafe act, climbing a defective ladder. The unsafe condition, a defective ladder. The corrective action, replace the ladder. The corrective action to forbid the use of the ladder. So the multiple causation theory. Factors combine in random fashion to cause accidents. It's not just one factor. Okay. For example, a fatigued driver, and then the brake fluid leakage. Those are two factors that have caused an accident. And then maybe pressure from top management that you need to make more than 10 trips in a day, which sometimes is impossible. The contributing factors to multiple causation theory are: was he or she properly trained? Was he or she reminded not to use it? Did the employee know not to use it? Why did the supervisor allow its use? Did the supervisor examine the job first? Why was it defective? So there are a lot of factors. Why was the defective ladder not found? So the unsafe acts, for example, horseplay, defeating safety devices, failure to secure or warn, operating without authority, working on moving equipment, taking an unsafe position or posture, operating or working at an unsafe speed, unsafe loading, placing, mixing, combining, failure to use personal protective equipment. Those are the unsafe acts. Unsafe conditions, which are environmental conditions: improper PPE, improper tools, improper guarding, poor housekeeping, improper ventilation, defective equipment, improper illumination, unsafe dress or apparel, hazardous arrangement. Unsafe personal factors. This one's now related to you as an employee. One is fatigue. Always know that when you're tired, it's better not to actually perform a hazardous task. unclassified, improper attitude, defective hearing, defective eyesight. All this happen. Yeah, these are all personal unsafe factors. Muscular weaknesses, you're trying to carry a load that you're not able to. Lack of required skill, intoxication. Some of the employees take drugs, alcohol, and then lack of required knowledge. Sometimes it's good to understand how the work is supposed to be done. And then there are behavioristic causes. There's improper attitude. Okay, there are those people who don't want to listen. You know, they tell you, do the work like this. You think, oh, I've been in this company for more than 10 years. I know what goes on here. You just new. That kind of attitude. And you're trying to guide someone and they say they are more experienced. Oh, no, I am more qualified than you, so you cannot tell me what to do. Those are improper attitudes. Lack of knowledge or skill. This is a very serious factor. It means proper recruitment or training was not done, or someone actually indicated they have that skill and yet they don't. So it's really good to properly vet employees and ensure that even if someone did this work before, but if they have taken long, you need to train them again. Have refresher courses in place and practical training. That's why one of them is this CPD. Follow all the CPDs that I've been presenting. You will learn a lot. It will help you. A physical or mental impairment can be stress, can be depression, anxiety, all those aspects that need to be looked into. And most organizations actually ignore this point. And then what are the types of accidents? A few of them are stated here, but there are many. A slip, trip, depending on where you work. As a cleaner, for example, a trip and slip is possible. Someone in the office maybe spilled water, so you come and clean and you pass, and when you didn't see, you slide, you fall down. Or someone was tapping power and left the electrical cords visible. So when you're walking, you trip on them and you fall down. Struck by, those ones who are working with cranes, where maybe the excavator or crane is swinging and you're hit by it. Overexertion, too much force or stretching. Struck against, fall on the same level, fall to different level, work at heights. Caught in or in between. These are people who are working in areas where there are like conveyors. You can be caught in a conveyor. Contact with heat or cold. Contact with electric current. Inhalation, absorption, ingestion, or poisoning. What are the key facts? Accident type, nature of the injury, source of the injury, location of the accident, hazardous condition, affected body part. So how do you assess the above facts? You're going to look at nationality, you're going to look at language, you're going to look at occupation, gender, department, name of supervisor. Yes, so it's like this could be the information that's included in the accident investigation form. Length of time on the job, responsibility, age, type of accident, environmental cause, unsafe act behavior, risk cause, and then cause time lost. So this is what you're going to look at and actually include in the accident investigation report. What would be the steps in the causal analysis? 1. Obtain the supervisor report of the accident. 2. Obtain the injured workers report if possible. 3. Obtain reports from witnesses, if any. 4. Investigate the accident. 5. Record all the facts. 6. Assess the specifics of the accident. 7. Correlate the specific with known trends. 8. Determine a course of action to take. 9. Assign responsibility for corrective action. This is very important because as a health and safety professional, your work is to ensure that everyone who has been assigned a corrective action actually accomplishes it on time. For high risks or major accidents, the corrective action should be applied immediately. Follow up as required. Follow up and say. So sometimes can be individual meetings. You engage these people individually and asking them how far they have gone with the mitigation actions. Or sometimes you can call meetings. Can be depending on the severity of the accident. You may want to do this weekly or monthly. So we are looking at now accident reporting. What should be reported? Really, what should we show? What should we tell management or the employees or the regulatory bodies? All injuries or job-related illnesses must be reported. All near-miss incidents must be reported. Why? A near-miss just shows something is wrong with the system. So in case it's not looked into, so you need to find out why the near miss is occurring. Because if not handled on time, then it will lead to a fatality, possibly. Vehicular structure or equipment damage must be reported. Procedural deficiencies, yes, that has to be reported. For example, if the work is not done properly, maybe the procedure for doing the work is incomplete, then report that one step that is missing is actually causing issues. So that the process can be reviewed and revised to include the missing step. Report potentially unsafe conditions, all of them. For example, you notice that someone dropped a banana peel somewhere. If someone stepped on the banana peel, you report that, and then the cleaner could be called to come and clean up. And then also report potentially unsafe behaviors. For example, if you saw one of the employees maybe drinking alcohol at work, this has to be reported. What is the purpose of conducting accident investigation? As below, 1, determine principal causes. 2, determine contributing causes. 3, develop strategies for corrective action. Very important. 4, establish a timetable for corrective actions. Yes, very important as well. And then assign responsibility for corrective actions. As simple as that. And then how will you collect data during the process of accident investigation? 1, through job hazard analysis assessment forms that have been filled. Direct observation, maybe during your visit to the accident site. Videotape, sometimes you find there were cameras, so you go and cut off that part before and after the accident happened. Action photograph, documentary accounts, accident statistics, employee interviews, and then employee surveys. What are the tangible indicators? What tangible is, what is visible? Accident records, production records, personnel records, employee surveys. Accident records includes even near misses. So all these ones you can get them. Some of them at the company clinic, or some of them with safety representatives, or some of them even with supervisors and the safety officer. Production records can be got from the supervisors. Why is this important? First of all, you're able to know who has worked and who has not. So the productivity can be measured when this worker who has got sick leave was working. What was the productivity, right? And then after this person got sick accident leave, what is the productivity of the department? So it's good to also look at production records and personnel records, and then employee surveys. Now, before investigating an accident, you need to constitute a team of people who are trained to conduct an accident, who understand the work environment, who understand the production process, who understand the company procedures, the accident investigation procedures, first aid procedures, emergencies, and everything. So the team, accident investigation team, consists of supervisor, safety officer, maintenance staff, field experts if needed. Now, for example, you who has done this course may be invited as an expert. Care provider, that is maybe from the clinic or first aider. Injured employee if possible. And then who else can you think of that may be needed? Anyone else you can think of may be needed, can be a safety representative in that area. For root cause analysis, you ask specific principal questions, and specific answers to each question must be given. These questions start with the who, what, why, when, where, and how. So those are the 5 why and the H. Someone tells you what are the 5 why and H of root cause analysis. If you see this kind of question, this is root cause analysis. Who, what, why, when, where, and how. 5 W and H. The 5 why, the 5 W and H questions for root cause analysis. Then you start with the who. Which questions do you ask under who? Who was injured? Who was working with him or her? Who else witnessed the accident? Who else was involved in the accident? Who is the employee's immediate supervisor? Who rendered first aid or medical treatment? Those are the questions you ask under who. What was the injured employee's explanation? What were they doing at the time of the accident? What was the position at the time of the accident? What is the exact nature of the injury? What operation was being performed? What materials were being used? What safe work procedures were provided? And then you continue. What personal protective equipment was used? What PPE was required? What elements could have contributed to the accident? What guards were available but not used? What environmental conditions contributed? What related safety procedures need revision? What shift was the employee working? What ergonomic factors were involved? Then you move to when. When did the accident occur? When did the employee start his or her shift? When did the employee begin employment? When was the job-specific training received? It's important. So that's why when you're conducting training, like for example, toolbox talks, they say you teach people what to do, what before. All those records need to be there so that they are revisited. When did the supervisor last visit the job? See, we need to know if supervision was given correctly or not. And then why? Why did the accident occur? Why did the employee do what he or she did? Why did co-workers do what they did? Why did conditions come together at that moment? Why was the employee in the specific position? Why were the specific tool or equipment selected? And then where? This is a location. Where did the accident occur? Where was the employee positioned? Where were eyewitnesses positioned? Where was the supervisor at the time? Where was first aid initially given from? And then our H comes in. How did the accident occur? How many hours had the employee worked? If you get to know how many hours the employee worked, and then you look at the standard working hours, if the employee worked for 8 hours and they're supposed, for example, the employee worked for 12 hours and they're supposed to work for 8 hours, then we know that there was a problem with fatigue. How did the employee get injured? How could the injury have been avoided? How could witnesses have prevented it? How could witnesses have better helped? How could the company have prevented it? So these are now the 5 W's and a H of root cause analysis. Very important for you to know. Then what is next? 1. Instruct employee in proper behavior. Warn the employee of potential hazard. Supply appropriate safeguards. Supply appropriate PPE. Eliminate the unsafe conditions. Repair or modify the unsafe conditions. Implement procedural changes. And of course, all these measures can be derived from the accident investigation. Whatever information you get is what you use to come up with the recommendations. So how do you interview witnesses? 1. Select comfortable private location. Set the person at ease. Explain that the situation, not them, is the focus. Solicit ideas to prevent future recurrence. Consider diagrams or drawings. Remain neutral in your demeanor. Take notes or record the discussion. Review the statements before terminating the interview. How do you represent the data that you've got from the accident investigation? 1. Condense into the company accident form. Compile statistical data for representation. Assign responsibility and prioritize actions. Make recommendations for correction. Recommend a timetable for correction. Consider funding for corrective actions. Forward copies to the regulator as required. Distribute internally as required, and then follow up at periodic intervals. How do you formulate control measures? 1. Training, initiation or enhancement. Eliminate or reduce exposure. Engineering control measures. Administrative control measures. Application of safe work practices. For example, you ensure that toolbox talks are conducted. People understand the kind of work they're going to do, the steps that they're going to follow to do the work, the training they require, and certifications and any licenses that may require. And then they also understand the hazards that they will be exposed to, and then the mitigation measures in place, and then the type of PPE they're supposed to use. That's application of safe work practices. And then personal protective equipment. Yeah, they need to know if you're going to work with electricity, what type of gloves. Are you going to use any type of gloves? No. What type of power are you dealing with? Is it a high voltage? Is it low voltage? All these aspects. Are you dealing with the capacitors, or other, electronic equipment. So it's very important to understand all this before you issue PPE. And then in the follow-up, what do you do? The greatest deficiency in accident investigation is lack of competent follow-up. People think that after investigating the accident and then coming up with the action plan and then assigning actions to respective persons, that's the end of it. No, you need to really follow up, ensure that you draft in your accident investigation procedure. You need also to include the follow-up process. How many meetings, one-on-one, or how many formal meetings is supposed to schedule. So that's very important. Then this is for those, if you know you're going to do BCSP, it's very important for you to actually if you're going to do an exam given a BCSP, you need to know this formula. So how do you calculate the incidence rate? Incidence rates can be calculated by counting the incidences and reporting the recordable injuries per 100 full-time workers per year per facility. And that is the formula: number of new cases times 200,000 over number of hours worked per facility per year. So the 200,000 is approximate annual work hours, 400 workers per facility. So the same method can be applied to departments, production lines, or job types with each facility. Now you're going to look at job design. What does a good job design result in? 1. Reduces discomfort, fatigue, aches and pains, injuries and illnesses, work restrictions. 2. Avoids absenteeism, turnover complaints, poor performance, poor vigilance. And then abates poor quality, scrap or rework, or production problems. So when you design somewhere when a worker is comfortable, their productivity increases. So they are not fatigued. For example, the worker doesn't need to overstretch, so musculoskeletal disorders have been eliminated. So the workers are comfortable and they're happy with their work. There is no much noise. So this increases productivity, reduces absenteeism. It's really important for the job to be properly designed. Prevents economic loss in earning power, loss in quality of life, pain and suffering. That's when it comes to an employee. For an employer, prevents economic loss in expertise, compensation, cost, damaged goods and equipment. For example, you have a competent driver gets into an accident and an arm maybe is cut off. What happens? You'd have already lost expertise, an experienced driver, due to an accident that may have resulted due to poor job design. So I know that most of the OSH professionals work with companies that utilize contractors. So I would love to give you tips for using contractors. 1, remember you control your facility or area. So contractors must comply with the health and safety requirements of your company. And this has actually been reflected in the contract, in a contract I will sign with your company. Review their procedures with them before starting the job. Review the procedures, review the risk assessment, and the That's the RAMs, risk assessment, and then determine their safety performance record. Also look at their records, and then determine who is in charge of their people, and then determine how they will affect your employees. Remember, the Act requires the company, your company, to protect the health and safety of your workers, and then of third parties, of which the contractors are part of the third parties. So it's your duty as an employer to protect them. So meaning the contractors must have similar standards of health and safety with you. You should be at the same level. Okay, if you require RAMs, for example, you need a risk assessment and method statement. Risk assessment helps the contractors map out all the risks that are inherent in the tasks they're going to conduct. And then the method statement is going to show, it's like let's say a job hazard analysis. You've done a job hazard analysis. It's going to, so the RAMs, the method statement is going to show how the work is supposed to be done. And this has to be approved by the health and safety profession of the contractor and you for your company. So after reviewing this, then you know that definitely the work will be done in a safe manner, meaning workers, both the contractor's workers and your company workers, are protected. Now we have reached the end of this module. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, ask your questions on the YouTube comment section, on LinkedIn comment section, and on Facebook and the comment section. Also remember, this course comes with a certificate, a 2-hour CPD certificate. Remember, after completing watching the video and understanding, go straight, click the link on the post, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and attempt the quiz. When you complete the quiz and submit it, you will automatically receive your CPD certificate from Safety-Legion. And please subscribe, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube and on Facebook. Remember, we have to be in charge of our professional development and be better professional health and safety officers. Thank you. See you next week in another module that I've not yet identified, but we shall. Otherwise, have a happy week. Bye.